today's how-to video, how to create your own custom cuts of power, or of lights. Wow. You'll need a power cord kit, your lights obviously, and then you'll also need a heat source of some kind. This is a heat gun or a blow dryer would work as well. Okay, so first off, when you get your lights, test them on the spool before you cut your lights. So unspool them and then plug them in just to make sure that everything works correctly. And then that's when you can start marking for your cuts. Now, these lights have cut marks every 19.5 inches. You have to stick to those 19.5 inches. You can't cut it shorter. You can't cut it longer than that 19.5 inches. So just be aware of that as well. Now, for the power cord kit, this one comes with the power cord itself. It comes with the end that goes onto the lights. It comes with the rectifier that's in line. And then it comes with the Edison plug. You'll also get a end cap. You'll get a heat shrink sleeve, which is why we need that heat gun. And the most important part, this power connector right here. So the power connectors and the splices look very similar. However, the power connectors are pointy on one end and round on the other. Can you see that? Okay. So first thing first. Our lights have been tested to make sure that they work. First thing we're gonna do is put the end cap on the one end. Now, if this setup is for indoor use, if you're doing outdoor use, it will be very similar. The only thing is there's an extra step to get the weatherproofing on, which is just a yellow heat melt tape and heat shrink tubing. Okay, so now our end cap's on. Next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to put the power connector into the lights. So the sharp side goes into the lights. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And you wanna make sure that you put it really nicely into those wires. You can kind of see them on either side here. One here and one here. You want to make sure they're making a good connection. You want to make sure that there's no wires sticking out that could cross over to the other side. You will get a short. It can start a fire. Just be very, very cautious when you're doing this. You want to make sure that you use a clean cut. This cut is not clean, but learn from my mistakes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this end on there. And it's very easy. You just want to make sure that you have it lined up properly. And it can take a couple tries. The thing with our rope lights is that there is a polarity with them. So before we get any of the heat shrink tubing or anything on there, we want to test out our lights and see if the polarity is correct. So plugged it in, polarity is not correct. What you're going to do now is you're just going to take this off. Actually, you're going to unplug your lights first. You're going to take this end off. Since we know what the polarity is now, we're gonna put the heat shrink around and just leave it there. Don't do anything to it yet, just have it on your lights. And then we're going to flip this 180 degrees, insert again, test again before we heat shrink, and our lights are working. So polarity is really, really important. You want to make sure that you test that before you put any kind of heat to get that shrink tubing or that yellow heat melt tape for weatherproofing actually on there, because then you're just wasting money on products that you should only need to use once, okay? So now that that is working, we're just going to unplug it while we do this heat shrink. And we're going to plug in our heat gun. And this is really, really easy. All you want to do is you just want to make sure that you have it equally on the end of the power cord and the lights so that this is completely covered. This is going to seal the lights on and make it more stand up more to pulling, because if you don't do it, it's easy to just pull it off like that. When you have the heat shrink on there, it acts as kind of like an extra strength on there to keep that from happening when your lights are installed, if you have kids or dogs that trip over wires and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna heat this up and turn it, kind of like a rotisserie chicken. Takes a little while to heat it up, especially in a cold office, so just be patient. Heat guns get really, really hot, so you want to make sure that your hands are protected or away from the lights as much as possible. You can see that it's already shrinking. You just want to kind of rotate it and make sure that you're getting even melting, shrinking all the way around. You see it's already forming to that of the lights. You don't want to apply too much heat in the same area for the lights because it can melt them. So that's why I'm moving back and forth. It's very, ladies, if you're doing this, it's very similar to drying your hair with your blow dryer. You don't want to hold it in one spot too long because it'll burn your scalp, burn your hair. So you just want to think the same. All right, that looks good enough to me. So now I'm just gonna do a quick squish test. And now we're gonna let that cool. And we're going to plug it in and test it and make sure that we didn't do any damage. And ta-da! Your lights, your custom cut, your custom length is set and ready to go.